Morning. If you want to come on in, have a seat for an all signs or general someone's seance message. There's no traditional ink today. My scrolls are put aside. We'll be utilizing an Inkblot ritual mat. And if you're interested in this one, I'll put the link below. Alright. It just adds a nice little abstract background to entice seeing, sensing, and feeling. Thank you for joining me. And let's see if there's a message from Spirit sitting here with us, with a message for all of us to heed. Blind spots is coming through, illumination, and the veil, the future. Ancestors is on the bottom. Lots of two skulls here. What can we add on to support this? If anyone's feeling or sensing like there's blind spots and trying to predict a future, there is some sort of illumination coming through. Page of Hazards. It's like somebody's been waiting. And maybe the spirit is waiting as well. Waiting to go to the light, perhaps. But I'm really sensing that's a common thread. Though one might be passed on if they chose, not to go immediately. They're waiting for the light to reappear, and someone who's still living, us incarnate individual, there is we're always waiting for a light at the end of the tunnel if we're going through something tough, or if we're going through grief and we're going through hurt and sadness and sorrow. There is an illumination that's being had, and the Three of Swords is coming through. Maybe it was heartbreak and there was grief, and there is grief, and that's what you're going through. And the future seems so blind and bleak. Runs with red across the eyes. Like, how can I possibly see the future beyond this pain of losing love? Judgment's coming through. It will balance itself out. There's a particular trust that's being called with the Page of Cups on the bottom in reverse. Somebody's waiting for a message and feel like they haven't been receiving it with the blind spot. Been waiting for a message. It's the heartbreak that's in the way. And I say that very, very compassionately. That doesn't mean to say like to break away from it. Even for whether this is someone in spirit, incarnate as yourself. There's a part of that journey, like it's threefold, like the self, the skull, the bone, soul, and spirit. And there's an evolution happening, an evolution of emotions and energy. And those two come into a place, not of judgment, but of balance, to realize it is always an evolution, right? And when there's emotions, I'm noticing on this card, like, see how there's the face and then there's fire. Like somebody's mind's just on fire, and in the blind spot, like, how have I not received a message yet? Why am I still here? If you're resonating with that, please feel my compassion, but I'm also sensing there's a spirit who's resonating with that as well. Like, why am I still here? I believe I've done what I needed to do. Why am I still here? And it's like the sun and the moon, the light and the dark of acceptance, to not punish what we perceive as shadow. There's a review happening of someone's incarnation. Sorry, I have a cat hair on my nose. That there's a spirit around that's reviewing their incarnation as they're still navigating and coexisting in the energies of the earthly realm. So there's some sort of commitment to consider if there's a loved one moving through, that's too many cards, but thank you, moving through grief. I'm hearing very kindly to feel the feels and to go through the gift of grief and not hurt your head over it. Like, don't, and I know it's easier said than done, don't get me wrong. They're saying it in a much kinder way as I'm butchering this. Like, don't make it worse in your head. Like, beat yourself up. Thank you. Don't beat yourself up for feeling the feels. Feeling the feels. Feel them and transmute them into a state of peace to the best of one's ability. The sun will rise. The moon will rise. The sun will set. The moon will set. And if the fluidity of emotional states can be smoother, will be smoother, can be smoother in the way that we think about them. And then when we look at the big scope of a day, we're not jarred by the sun setting and the moon rising. Like, that's the transition I feel in. And I really apologize if I am butchering this message. But my heart is in it because I'm navigating some deep emotions from a spirit and for someone or someone's. And I think we can all resonate on some level of a loss of a loved one. And I feel like the sun has set for the spirit that has passed on and they moved on. And maybe for yourself, you've lost someone, the sun has set. But the moon is rising. And I don't know if I'm saying that correctly. Okay, we have here secrecy and mystery. I've got the camera skewed a little bit today, so I apologize if it's off, but it's like we're in the in-between, right? We're not nose to nose. And enlightenment. Honesty and adventure is behind that. I'm going to take a moment here. Thank you. If there's somebody waiting to receive a message and the spirit to give a message, you might feel like in this blind spot, and you see how it's above the head, so the eyes can't perceive it front or back. It's above the head where the message may be. So it feels like a secret's being kept, like why? I'm chained to this position of waiting for the postal portal to open and send me a message, and it feels like a big secret, but it's not. And I know that's not necessarily what any of us want to hear or heed, but it feels like a secret. And being asked to come into, instead of potentially through the illumination, right? So the candle's on top, you can't see it. Perhaps the way I could is by looking in a mirror, and then I would see it. Do you know what I'm saying? And it's almost like that will bring about an illumination. And shifting secrecy into mystery. Mystery. Do you feel that slight shift with me in the wordage? If a secret's being held from me, I almost feel victimized. Or if I'm holding a secret, that's heavy. That's heavy. But mystery has a slightly different air about it. And to not be able to foresee the future with love is a tough position to feel. But in seeking, like in the Judgment card, there's the sun and the moon. It's like seeing the evolution of not only the moment where the sun sets and it's so beautiful, and some people dedicate time to go see that and appreciate that. But it's not the only part of the sun that's worth seeing, right? It extends all day, but it is a point to appreciate, and same with the moon. And it's like an aha comes through, an aha of healing that ignites a different form of it. So if you're in, one of the stages of grief, it might not push, but nudge into another state, but in a gentle way, like the sun's just starting to set, right? And then there's this little time where the sun or the moon is there, but it's not quite luminescence is the word that's coming through, if I said that right. So you have to kind of look for it. And then it starts to shine. And the moon really shines. The moon really, really shines in the depths of the dark, like a nightlight for everybody. And this brings me into enlightenment. I apologize if my hair is crazy, but I was called very quickly to come to the table. Adventure and honesty. And the enlightenment comes from, there's a lot of fire here, creation and cleansing. So if there was secrets, speak them to yourself. Be your own confidant. There is a spirit around you that is hearing you. And it can help shift it from secrecy to mystery. And this enlightenment comes from burning away what's holding you like a rock, and can bring about another adventure. And when you decide to be honest in speaking, if you can see that lion with what I'm seeing as the page again, you are supported, like literally supported to speak it. Maybe you're in therapy and you're going to speak your pain, or a confidant is saying, I'm still reeling over this, something along that lines, whatever the case may be. What else do we have here for this general message? Thank you, spirits, for joining us. I feel like my throat's a little raw this morning too. Synergy. There's those lines again, sorry about the lighting. And injustice. Interesting that we have judgment and injustice. Kali, love, and the mirror. These are all things we've been talking about. On the bottom is regeneration, emotional regeneration. Emotionally, it's like being on the octopus with so many... one day I'll figure out the lighting, but it's not my immediate concern. But Medusa has the snakes on her head, but I'm seeing them also as octopus or octopi tentacles. So this emotional tentacles are also up in the head, like thinking about your feelings, judging one's own feelings, and perhaps the spirit is doing the same thing in that reflection of the mirror. This constant review of injustices done or done to. I'm not going to lie, it feels like havoc. But emotionally, I'm getting a little uncomfortable. Emotional havoc. And that's just the empathic energy, which if you yourself are sensitive to that and you're going through very emotional situation, and then there's a spirit around you as well, like that's tough. And when I see the synergy, that's what I'm seeing. Like there's two animals. See if I can do this without... See, there's two of them. And they're pissed. So let's try and work this out and see if we can add some healing in this concoction. I'm going to try and pull my hair back. So organic, but is what it is. Okay, let's move through this for a moment. We were talking about the blind spots, and it's coming up with the mirror. There we go. To see the light, that's burning bright, to see the moon, while the sun has set or is setting. Look around, look in a mirror. The moon is there. It's always there, perception. But once you look in the mirror, you'll be able to see the light of love. Kali, the light of love is there. Self-love, realizing that the judgments of the mind are in the head. Oh, but there's so much illumination ready to be had for this healing. Okay, so I'm going to add on some Metatron healing cards, because this is what I'm sensing is being asked of this session. If you're resonating and the spirit within that is resonating, is asking for a little bit of help to say, can we just add a little bit of love to my life as I reflect upon it, and to, just like we were talking about, like, see the shift and get a little nudge. I think this moment is the nudge, potentially is the nudge, an ingredient of one nudge. As the spirit is suffering, and perhaps a soul is suffering and just needs to be held for a moment to say, let me feel that. It's very upsetting. It's very upsetting. The judgments and injustices, if there was an injustice that was had to this person, or the person you lost, there was an injustice, it's an added element that is creating another layer to contend with. Or perhaps this soul did something that they're now seeing as unjust, and they're looking for forgiveness, or they're looking for understanding before they cross over, or before they transition again, right? Sunset, sunrise. There might be fear. That's why they can't see the future. Okay, on the bottom we have leadership, answering the call. Oops, that's fine. Indigo, mystery and mastery. There's a lot of mystery. Look at that. It's the night sky with the moon. The night sky with the moon. And yet I'm being called to utilize the fire I'm seeing that feels heated in the holistic human and in the holistic spirit. But it's like one is existing amongst the nighttime, but is looking upon a star, and it's almost like, do I? Have I done enough good? Have I done bad? Oh, it makes me... Oh, this duality. It's the next card. Have I done good? Have I done bad? This reflection. There's a lot of statues made of stone. There's points in the personality that remember things, but I feel like there's things in between they're not remembering, like the bad things stand out, or the unkind things stand out, or the injustice done to or done. But like there's all this middle space, like an Oreo cookie. It's like there's more to meet the eye. Can we shift the attention, our awareness, to move towards the so much good, the what seems so mundane, to move on up and become your own leader of awareness? And the heart is right behind that, heart healing. And the beacon, it's like once one looks in the mirror and sees the illumination is on top. I was looking for the light all around, this hope. Where is it? And the whole time it's been right here, but you just couldn't see it. And then that's when the beacons. Even when we were with Medusa and how I was seeing all the octopi tentacles, Kali as well. And I think it was, regeneration Hydra. There's so many thoughts. Where am I going? Okay, thank you. So we're adding a little bit of healing to this. Healing to help. Help. And if you're still with me, you're part of the help. Even when you're hurting, you're part of the help. Helping yourself and helping our holistic nature. As one might be existing during the day, the living, let's say, you are the sun, and for those that are in spirit, maybe are represented by the moon. There's still a coexistence, and there's these fine moments of overlap. The messages are being shared and said. They might just be secretly said to oneself because there could be shame or there's so much sorrow. Okay, one more card. We're getting ready to close out here and helping anyone who has decided to be here with me today. On the bottom, paradisical, you belong to paradise. Living in those non-living. I want to say without being able to defend it or prove it, this is factual. That you belong to both light and dark, and you belong to paradise. And paradise will have shade when it's sunny to cool off. That shade is not bad. Oh, I want to cry again. Oh, I want to cry again. It gets so emotional in these readings. Oblivion, open your arms. If there's anyone in spirit, it feels like they're broken. Their wings have been clipped. They're earthbound. They can't see a future for themselves. And same with an incarnate. The love lost was just too hard. Open your arms. Open your arms. Be open to receive. Be open to sit in the shade when it's too sunny and the world's too bright. It doesn't need to be hated. It's just, go where you need to go. Whatever you choose will be correct. Look at all these keys. And it's landing in the duality balance needed, in line with the heart and the leadership answering the call. And by pausing in your journey, be in the shade for a while, or maybe get a little bit of sun. In that symbolic meaning, if you've been in the shade, like hermitizing in the hurt for so long, or in the spirit in this being earthbound, and it's not what you want, but you're not sure how and if you want to move on because you can't see the future. I feel like we're here in the pause together. This is where we are. And I'm to be honest. And as this card of being held by a lion, being held by a strong spirit, by a strong soul, by a strong self, and you feel grounded, to open your arms and to begin, I want to say healing, but it's not a typical healing. This is a regeneration of hope and faith, and realizing that perfection is not the point. Does that make sense? Perfection is not the point. All right, let's close out here. Thank you so much for joining me, and I hope this is adding some inspiration into the spirit who's been here to feel grounded while earthbound and visiting, to realize the judgment of application is free to feel, to pause here, to be here, and to receive from the living, encouragement, and maybe enlightenment as well, and vice versa. Always nurturing our interconnected nature. Do you have any closing out messages? Going beyond the normal. There's a key. These cards are all upside down. The world wants to be written. The word, the word, the word. This is about that going beyond the normal. The illumination again is on top. The very blind spot is where the very illumination resides. The word wants to be written. Honesty. Maybe write it down. Maybe for the spirit there's a journal somewhere where they did write it. Softly, softly, the tender touch. Softly, softly. Love. Pause in your journey. Be tender. Oh, if we can be tender. I want to note as well, thank you. Okay. And what's on the bottom, and I almost completely disregarded, visions of life beyond death. If that can be seen. We've gone from not being able to see through the veil, from going from earthbound to ethereal, to existence energy. And moving through this, the visions of life and death can be seen, can be held. I want to note that these 3 cards moved through, see all their eyes, if I can do this without one's, there we go, face down, looking up, and then looking straight ahead. And this is indicative of that blind spot. Look up. The illumination to the future, looking ahead, and you can see through the veil now because it's sheer. It's sheer. .44 stability. It's beautiful. It's, if there is a spirit here right now that is in this, I feel you. You were in this. There's so many eyes on you, not in judgment at all, but of wisdom. And they're actually trying to attract you to the light. They want you to come to the light. It's like there's a compass and it's spinning. And this may just be the pause to perceive that light there. Go, oh, I can go. I'm not going to be judged. No, you are the judger. That is the personal power. And how we use that, the mind, the human mind and the higher mind, it's our programming. Soft, soft. Be tender in this. Existence experience, be tender. All right, I'm going to let you go. And I'm so grateful that this synergy and this mirror with lots of love, the living and the non-living, the living and the dead, the strange and unusual, the pain felt on every level of being lost and losing a loved one, still holding hands. I want to cry again. But I feel like the adventure is beginning. The enlightenment is happening. This pause has proved powerful. And the enlightenment adventure begins. And hopefully you feel that. All right. Thank you very much. Until next time. Thank you.